Hi, I'm Christina, and later on you're going to be seeing my colleagues Tim and Jess. In the last video, you learned all about climate change and how greenhouse gases have an influence on the warming of Earth's surface. Greenhouse gases to review are nitrous oxide, water vapor, carbon dioxide, and methane. Greenhouse gases aren't always bad. It's the amount of them that causes the problem. Let's check out an experiment to see how a particular greenhouse gas traps heat.
I've set up an experiment that'll replicate the effect of greenhouse gases on Earth's atmosphere and oceans. I have two 2-liter bottles with water to represent the oceans and air to represent the atmosphere. The difference I'm going to make is that in one, I'll add Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer releases carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas, which in theory should raise the temperature. I have heat lamps behind these two equally spaced to give them a source of heat and see what the difference is after an hour. It's been about an hour, and as expected, there's a pretty substantial difference between our two model atmospheres. The one containing CO2 is over 10 degrees Celsius higher than the one without. This is an important feature of greenhouse gases on planet Earth. It's actually what allows us to be able to have a habitable planet. If the atmosphere didn't trap heat, we wouldn't be able to be here. The problem occurs when there's the burning of things like fossil fuels and the input of a lot more CO2 into our environment. In the past 3 million years, our Earth's atmosphere has never exceeded 300 parts per million CO2. Today, we sit above 415 parts per million CO2. This is a huge difference and can have untold effects on Earth's environments.
The increase of warming on Earth's surface is causing ice melt. Ice melt, paired with thermal expansion, is causing sea level rise. In our next experiment, Jess is going to show you how thermal expansion is increasing sea levels.
In addition to land ice melting, the thermal expansion of the ocean is playing a role in sea level rise. We've mentioned that the ocean is absorbing a lot of the energy from the sun. Absorbing this excess energy is raising the temperature of the ocean. By raising the temperature of the ocean, sea ice is not the only thing being affected. It's also causing the water to expand. So thermal expansion is what happens when the water warms. The extra energy that's coming into the ocean is allowing all of the hydrogen bonds between the water molecules to form and break very quickly. And by that, it's increasing the volume of the ocean. So warm seawater has a greater volume than cold seawater. So as the ocean temperatures continue to warm, it will continue to take up more space, increasing sea levels around the world. To better visualize this, we're going to do a little experiment. So this is our experimental setup. We have a flask full of blue water that's representing our ocean. And I have a pitcher full of hot water here. So I'm going to pour the hot water in around the outside of our ocean, and it's going to transfer its energy to the water in the ocean, making it warmer, and we'll see what happens to the level of the ocean. So right now we can see barely the water right here, so that is our starting line. We're going to leave this for a few minutes and see what happens. After sitting for just a few minutes, the level of our ocean increased significantly. So we started down here at 0 milliliters, and right now we're actually off the scale. See, very high. So the water has been increasing because the hot water around the outside of our ocean has been transferring its energy to the water in the ocean, and that's making it take up more volume as it's gotten warmer. And this is happening not only in the ocean, but also right in our backyard in Long Island Sound.
Our Earth goes through normal periods of heating and cooling throughout its existence. The challenge we now face is the rate on which our Earth's surface is heating. In Connecticut, we are making great progress in reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. By 2030, we hope to reduce them by 45%. There's things you could do at home too, like turning off a light, carpooling, and of course, collecting those bottle caps.